Yeah, I don't think I'm forgetting anything else. It should be good now. I tested it beforehand and it should work fine. Oh, that's a Steam features from the overlay while playing. Thank you. I didn't know that. Cool. Why did it wait? I've had this open for like 10 minutes in the background, muted. Why did it wait till now to tell me that? Alright, so we're finally beginning episode 6 today. I feel like I'm very low today. It's my chair again. Okay, there we go. I'm not as low anymore. There we go. Okay. Oops, I should have read that again. It's okay. Battler-sama, Battler-sama. So, I want to see if episode 6 stands up as being my favorite episode from the ones I recall. Because 5 was really damn good. There was so much I'd forgotten. Wow, we're really getting right into it. A beautiful glow showed in from the skylit over the Grand Cathedral. I think is this gonna tease what I think it's gonna tease already? Is episode 6 gonna do another thing where it teases something that doesn't happen for 8 hours? I think it is. It is. It is. The place was somehow different from the way it had been during the witch's trial. The decorations had changed. The several pleasantly sparkling white ribbons that adorned it were thin like razors, but they trailed beautifully in the air. Flowers were arranged all over in a way that would make any place look cheerful. Episode 6 is going to start on such a ridiculous premise. Just think the entire time, like, how could things end up like this? How could things possibly end up like this? It was like how a single drop of impure water can spoil an entire cask of wine. Just the presence of those flowers, those ribbons, and the red carpet that ran down the center of the room made it hard to believe that this was the same place Ushino Natsuki had been falsely accused of a crime. It had truly become a wedding chapel. Love is generous. Love is merciful. Love does not envy. It does not boast. Those words, spoken by two demons who have yet to be introduced yet, who seem to be in charge of this gathering, were part of a ceremony for making an oath of love before the eyes of God. Of course, in this wedding celebrated by demons, there was no priest in sight. Instead, there stood the witch who controls miracles. Everyone could tell. In sickness and in health. Oh, also, I'm sorry, hold on. That reminds me, I need to re-enable them. My bad. There we go. You guys can stay over there. In sickness and in health. Yeah, a wife's true job is to be supportive in times of sickness. Isn't that right, Erica? Oh, plot twist. Plot twist. Yes, my master. That looks good on you. What a fitting outfit for one who has conquered the bridegroom. I'm honored, my master. The bride standing on the carpeted path was Furuta Erica. The groom's face couldn't be seen. It's Goda. The bride's outfit certainly was a pure white wedding dress. Her veil represented both the weight of God's blessings and the weight of a demon's cruelty. A great many goat nobles, witches, and demons were gathered for this wedding. If only their heads hadn't been those of goats, it would probably have seemed a very refined crowd worthy of this great cathedral. I'd expect no less of you, Byrne. I mean, there's no reason for her to appear anywhere else. She does have one more outfit later on, though. She has a lot of outfits. The stuff you managed to think of is always so twisted. A wife supporting her ailing husband. Isn't that a lovely story? It suits you well, Erica. And congratulations to you too, Mr. Groom. At that point, Brinka still stared straight into the groom's eyes. It's you. It's you. The groom didn't answer. His eyes were gray. His lips would mutter something from time to time, but no one could tell if the words meant anything. Hey, are you listening? You people? She spoke to the groom in the plural. Of course, there was only one groom. And of course, the gray-eyed groom didn't answer. Hee. So even though you can hear her, you can't answer? Don't worry, okay? Battler-san. It's okay. I'll just take everything you are and trample it into the ground. The Witch of Miracles sneered with an evil smile that even a demon would shudder to look at. Even that sneer provoked no response from Battler's dim eyes. People live for the sake of love. Therefore, today you will fulfill the purpose of your lives. Oh, how great is the power to live, the power of love. I pray that the brightness of this day blesses these two for all time. Just give it a rest already, you demons. What comes next? The couple will now make an oath of eternal love. After that, they will exchange rings. Yeah, it's gonna be that again, real. It's just this time it's even sillier of a premise. What could possibly lead up to Battler and Erica getting married? And Battler is apparently just totally out of it during this. So, a forced marriage to Erica. Juan, I don't know who that is. They have weird names. I think it's, I think their names are Zephyr and Furfur. I know Furfur's like an actual demon. I don't know what Zephyr actually is, besides a funny word that shows up a lot in RPGs. On Battler's hand was a ring bearing the seal of the One-Winged Eagle, proof that he was the territorial lord of this world. And on Erica's finger was a diamond ring that could not be shattered by any miracle. Something like that, yeah. Yep, so reminder, at the end of episode 5, Battler died. Beatrice cuddled Battler's dead body. Battler woke up because he had a flashback in his head about being, I don't know, talked up by Delanor. I think he had a flashback to the tea party with him, Delanor, and Virgilia. He woke up to a dying, I guess at that point already dead Beatrice in his arms. Realized the entire truth of everything that's going on. Used some kind of bullshit golden truth to win an argument. That they haven't really explained yet. Don't hold your breath waiting on that one. And he has now been declared the territorial lord. Essentially, he understands, he knows. So, yeah. He's the game master now. He's the one in charge. Except apparently he's getting married to Erica, so yeah. And yes, they did kick Erica's ass incredibly hard. And she didn't have a portrait of the scythe, which is really disappointing. It's just in text. Diamonds signify an eternal bond. However, in Greek, the word diamond simply means unbreakable. Wow. Erica wasn't vowing to love Battler forever. She just wanted to rule over him as her eternal property. This wedding was being performed for the sole purpose of defiling Battler. Don't worry, I won't love you forever. After all, the point of this ceremony is to make you submit to me. Your heart will be shut inside in an inescapable closed room forever, where I, Rhoda Erica, the detective and the Witch of Truth, will command it. Your position as territorial lord and your ring will become mine. Can't get... What was that? Yeah. Can't get out. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll show that off, Bill, thanks. I don't think I got to show it off last time, did I? So Battler apparently can't get out, huh? I'll wait until this happens. Episode 6 has a really, really cool premise. Well, one specific part of it. I mean, the whole thing is really cool. Yeah, I'll bet you can't get out of that closed room. After all, you made it yourself. You'll suffer in that room for all eternity. And I'll remain by your side as your wife forever, getting to enjoy that look of anguish on your face all by myself. I'll defy you forever. Ushirumiro Battler. Copyright claim. That's okay. I ain't making enough money off these VODs. Enjoy it. Also, pretty surreal. Let's drag that into the game. Scythe. I'll get a picture next time. I think this is probably just a copy of episode 5's opening. I don't think it changes anything. I could be wrong. Yeah, okay. I'm not really fond of episode 7's opening either, but I don't really like the 5 and 6 openings as much compared to the first one. The first 4 novels openings. It's fine. I do kind of like the latter part of the song, but I much prefer Akiko Shikara. I don't know who this singer is. They sound kind of like the Steins Gate singer, I've always thought, but I'm pretty sure I checked once and it's not the same person. Zwei. I don't know who that is. It's Stack. Imagine if it were Stack. That would be pretty cool. Oh, what happened to the island? Wait, so it is the same person? Is it actually the same? Well, no, I haven't heard the VN openings for Steins Gate. I've only seen the anime. Is it the same singer as the anime song? Like, the anime Steins Gate openings? Maybe I was mistaken then. Huh. Got something in my eye. Ugh. All that could be heard was the sound of the wind. A sound of misfortune, bringing sadness and unease to all who heard it. Now we're actually getting it from the start, I think. I hope. Please. Slowly, I came back to my senses. I finally regained consciousness on top of a bed with a firm mattress. Where was this again? I can't remember where this is, but I can vaguely recall that I must not remain here. The room was dimly lit. There was a light on, but that just made the darkness and eeriness of the room you're missing any there more apparent. There were no curtains over the window, but it was too dark outside to see anything beyond it. If I squinted into that pitch blackness, it felt as though I could see the witch of the forest peeking back at me from the darkness, and I averted my gaze from the window in fear. I can't see or hear it, but I get the feeling that if I leave this room, it'll be bright and warm, and someone else will be there for me. I want to get where everyone else is as soon as I can. Bad memories from when I was very young began to well up. Horrible, harsh memories of when I started dozing off during a family gathering and was put to sleep in some room I didn't know. I remember waking up there, incredibly lonely and sobbing. So, I think Battler's essentially just competing with the other witches now, because, I mean, he's already solved everything for Beatrice, and Beatrice is kind of also, like, still not here. So, I forget exactly what it was, like, stated his motive was, like, just, I don't know, humiliate Burn Castell and beat her real bad, maybe? I have to doubt them. They're both kind of terrible people. I must not remain in this room. I just want to get out of here quickly. Once that thought crossed my mind, I didn't want to stay in the room a second longer than I had to. I'm scared. It's creepy. Where is everyone? I want to get out of here right now. Eye dropped or something. I opened the door, trying to leave the room. A pleasant glow snuck in through the crack of the door. As I thought, the corridor was filled with a comforting light. I couldn't actually hear them, but I could sense that far away, people were enjoying themselves. I'm sure everyone's gathered in the room across from this one. I've been shut up in this lonely, creepy room, all alone. I should go, quickly. As soon as I thought this, a merciless metallic sound rang out, and the door refused to open any further. I feel like episode 6 starts off with this premise too quickly, when this isn't going to make sense for quite a while. The chain had been set. I'd always hated chain locks. You can open a normal lock just by twisting. The chain locks are built in an annoying way, and I couldn't work them easily. So I've hated them ever since I was very young. See? Even this chain is causing me trouble, and I just can't get it undone. Why is this happening? I just want to leave this creepy room right away. Just on the other side of this thin door, everything is bathed in a warm light. I can't undo it. I just can't undo this chain. The more desperate I grew, the more that unsettling darkness seemed to be closing in on my back, and the more frightened I became. Then, I finally noticed, there's something wrong with this chain. Yes, there is a chain, but this isn't a chain lock. This is just a chain staked into the door, preventing it from opening any further. In other words, it isn't made to be opened. But what the hell's going on? Who would do something like this, damn it? No matter what I did, no matter how much I struggled, I couldn't pull out the stake or undo the chain or break the mechanism. This door was just a demon's mouth, made to trick me into thinking it would open before crushing my hopes. Even so, if only I could just open this door somehow, I could get out into that pleasant corridor. This desire forced me to keep my hand glued to the doorknob. But it was useless. It was all useless. Both the chain and the stake were firm, and no matter how much I clattered them about, there was no chance of the door opening any further. Even though I could see the pleasant hallway through the crack, I had no chance of opening the door any further. Maybe someone will come if I yell. Maybe the door can be opened easily from the outside. When I thought this, I tried to call out to someone, but I couldn't make the words come out. I could mouth, "Someone, come here," but no voice left my lips. What's going on? Someone come. Why can't I cry out? because it's not time yet. Help me, help me, help me. The mere fact that I can't say help me out loud is even scarier. It's like sleep paralysis. I've had sleep paralysis before with someone else, like a friend or my ex-wife sleeping nearby. And I've tried to, like, voice that I need help getting out. And it's difficult to really do that, because you are paralyzed. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe... I mean, I think they'll probably just show it in the same order, right? They'll probably just do it the way the VNs do. No reason they can't. Maybe that's why episode 5 hasn't come out yet, though, but probably not. That's probably nothing to do with it. If I turn around, the witch gazing into the room from the darkness outside, might be inside the room this time, standing right behind me. I'm frightened. I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. February is the episode 5 one, right? That's pretty soon, you know, I don't think I could do that. But maybe I could try for 6. I'll think about it. I'll, like, actually think about it. I feel like 2 months from now is too short notice. Especially considering I've never traveled alone. Traveling overseas alone? When I've never traveled out of the state alone? Holy shit, that sounds scary. I've never been on a plane alone. I've been on a plane once. Well, twice if you count the return trip, I guess. But I had my ex-wife there with me. And, that was still a real panic. Like, trying to find stuff in the airport terminal and whatnot. We had no idea what to do. We probably almost missed our flight, honestly. Those places are huge. And neither of us had ever been on a plane before. It was cool, though. I did learn that I like traveling quite a lot from that. But yeah. Someone help me. Someone help me. I can't get out. Can't get out. Let me out of this room. Help me. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out. Help me. Help me. Help me. Now, see, traveling with someone in Japan sounds nice, but I still have to, like, figure out all the, like, get on the plane and get their stuff, so it doesn't get around, like, the whole issue, you know? I'd probably manage. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. It sounds like they've arrived, lady. Huh? Oh. Amakusa. Oh, no, not Angie again. Amakusa ran his finger down my cheek. In an instant, I woke from the doze I'd just been in. You gotta keep in mind, like, more stuff would happen with Angie. Last we saw her was in, like, the future. Well, like 12 years, I think, after the incident when she's 18. And she had just survived thing on Rakenjima with her aunt and her black-suited goons. And they'd all gotten pierced by the stakes, if I recall right. So yeah. She's fine, she made it out of that. She just got turned to meat in Battler's, like, weird past universe, but that's different. Wildcats. I did give them catnip earlier today. Where is this? It feels like a parlor in some dignified person's house, but I have no memory of this place at all. Where is this? And why am I... You still half asleep, lady? Yeah, sorry. Where are we? Huh? Apparently, he hadn't expected me to forget something like that, just because I wasn't fully awake yet. For once, I agreed with him. Why am I in some parlor that I don't recognize? The sound of the footsteps from the they Amakusa had mentioned had come right up to the opposite side of the door. I could hear conversing voices. Is that a woman? Judging by the coffee and snacks laid in front of me, I was the guest here. Is this... who I think it is? I thought that didn't happen till later. I don't remember. In that case, I'd better remember why I came here, or at least who it was I came to visit. Who am I? Ushidame Angie. Who's the man standing behind me? Amakusa Jusa, the man who used to be my guard long ago. He's now the bodyguard Okanogi assigned to me. Who's Okanogi? He's Megarashi. In that case, is this after Aunt Ava's death, when I've thrown off my pursuers, on that journey to find out what happened 12 years ago? Is that how it went? Do I really have a memory like this? You do now. After a knock, the door opened, and the person I must have come here to meet entered along with an assistant. Oh, wonderful. Even after seeing her face, I can't remember who she is. Our sincere apologies for keeping you waiting. Yep, Hachijo Toya is here. That's a relief. The assistant introduced her to me first. Alright. New character number 1. Make sure to keep track of them. New characters every VN. You don't ever get away from that. She? I thought it was a he. Excuse me, what are you? Look, a new character. That's right. I'm Hachijo Toya. So hey, it's like a person in the real world. We get a portrait for and a name for her who actually isn't just like some random boat salesman or something. That's cool. Oh, actually, you know, we can check and see if she's important because she'll have a new portrait, and she does. See? The couple people from episode 4, yeah, episode 4, that Angie meant, like the old professor and whatnot, just didn't have new portraits, period. If you switched to new, it would just, I think, be like the same portrait, like enlarged or something silly like that. So that's a little bit funny. Real. Shh. No. No. Shush. We're not there quite yet. The magazines were all talking about your book signing event. Supposedly, a mysterious male author showed up wearing sunglasses and a mask. Never thought you'd be a woman. What's the deal? That was just a double arranged for by the editing department. I was the helper standing behind him at the book signing. Now there's a shock. I haven't read your works, but I'll bet you're even more mysterious than your books. Readers only pretend to read books. Oh. I think this song plays a shit ton of times in episode 6. This is like the episode 6 song. They read them based merely on the name of the author and the brand and think that they've actually read them. No matter what I write in my books, they don't truly read anything. They just pretend to read so they can look smart and knowledgeable and keep up with the current fad. Why on earth should I expose myself to these people? Why indulge such trash? I see. Looks like you're Madame Hachijo, alright. This person really is eccentric. There's no doubt about it. This is Hachijo Toya herself. Hachijo Toya is a mystery novelist who's become the center of discussion lately. It seems her books themselves have been highly praised, but it's her mysterious debut that's attracted so much attention towards her lately. Last year, she managed to win several different awards for exceptional mystery novels. Yeah, I remember this one as Love Examination. This song kind of annoys me, because I think it usually comes up with Zephyr and Purpur, and they kind of grate on my nerves. But I guess it plays here anyway. Episode 6 has some really good stuff. Birth and the Witch is absolute, you know, best song in... It's one of the best songs in this whole soundtrack, in my opinion. Last year, she managed to win several different awards for exceptional mystery novels offered by multiple large publishing companies, submitting each of her works under a different pen name. And after that, several highly regarded anonymous works were discovered, one after another, to have been stories she had written in the past under false names. I actually like the non-vocal version of Birth of the Witch more. Birth of the Witch. The instrumental is better in my opinion. I like them both though. Same thing goes for Golden Nocturne from episode 7. And her popularity soared as she herself became more mysterious than her books. Despite all this, the author herself never appeared in public, and everything about her was wrapped in a veil of secrecy. However, just a few days ago, this author finally made a public appearance for a book signing, showing up with a mask that covered his face and drawing even more public attention. And yet, apparently even that had been a fake. Given this person's radically unconventional track record, it was hardly a surprise to hear her casually insult her fans like this. I know quite a lot about you too, Ushirome Anji-san. The talk shows have been saying all sorts of things. I'm sure you've heard nothing good. Yes, nothing good at all. Apparently you employ and fire people on a whim, try to resolve everything with money, and care nothing for the law as long as you get your way. Yep, sounds about right. However, I happen to like intelligent people like you. Is that why you agreed to meet with me? Yeah, Fishy Aroma is great. The vocal song that plays during the credits, I think. That one I like the vocal version of a lot more. It's really good. It's a goofy song, but it's also like such... It's just so fitting for Umineko. Exactly. You're the only person who's managed to spout that Ito Kukuro Regu Namu is another pen name used by me. Hachijo Toya. We're just not gonna read that again. IR. That's actually quite impressive. IR. It was a pretty strange pen name. However, if you match the Japanese syllables to numbers, you can read it as 1101996056. 11,019,960,576. This massive number is equal to 18 to the 8th power. 18 to the 8th. In Japanese, Toya no Hachijo. Or in other words, Hachijo Toya. Shut the fuck up, Angie. You didn't figure that out. Heh, very well done. I was quite impressed. In fact, I was so impressed, I decided to let you meet me in person. Welcome to my mansion, child of man. Yep, she likes saying that. Let's see what it is in Japanese. I've always been curious, actually. Alright, it's back here. Hitonoko. Hitonoko. Okay. I don't know a lot of those until I hear them, probably. Those I don't really know by name, except for, like, maybe Liberated Liberator. But there's also a lot of other songs that sound kind of like Liberated Liberator. Oh no, that resets the music. Her manner of speaking was extremely condescending, but, perhaps because of her elegant manner, it didn't feel particularly irritating. This person had a sort of majestic grandeur about her, which made that style of speech seem almost natural. At least that's how it felt to me. In fact, it felt almost as though this was the manifestation of some noble being, who would have no need to show herself before mere humans under normal circumstances. Since I'm not particularly a fan of hers, I guess this is proof that her mysterious charisma really is nothing to be laughed at. However, I didn't come here to talk to Hachijo Toya, the mystery novelist. I'm interested in IR, the mysterious web author who only released her works over the internet. I don't think that name will come up too much, so I'm not going to read it properly for now. Here it is again. Around the Japanese parts of the internet, Itoi. I don't know exactly. You usually don't see, like, vowels quite like that. Itoi Kukuro is an extremely famous witch hunter. Ikusawa Mukuro. However, she isn't a big opinion leader like Professor Oldski. Hey, that's the guy I mentioned. She's one of those message bottle forgers, or is the center of a vigorous debate. Message bottle forgers are, as the name suggests, people who forge and post the contents of what purport to be mysterious message bottles detailing the events of an Irakenjima incident. They claim to have discovered a new message bottle, and post either a very similar counterfeit story, or a new theory with their own interpretation of the truth, all of which are supposedly written by Ushiro Miyamura. In so doing, they openly take on the name Ushiro Miyamura, writing up new bizarre tales as if they'd been present themselves and knew the truth. They then send these stories out into the newest sea discovered by humankind, the internet, claiming that it's a third or fourth message bottle. All the first forgers were either simple pranksters or crooks trying to swindle collectors. Eventually, though, people who claimed to have solved the riddles of the message bottle tales and reached the truth started to appear, and they started creating original works of their own, third and fourth message bottles from Ushiro Miyamura, as though they had moved over to the riddle teller's side. These people rewrote the tale of the witch with whatever interpretations they wanted, and every once in a while, parts of their theories would gain big followings on the net. Some of these creations grew to be so widely trusted that they were believed to contain some grain of truth. The more rigid witch hunters openly despised these people, calling them forgers, counterfeiters, or just witches. Essentially, she's a game theorist, and people have started taking her theories seriously. Though they claim to have reached the truth, they refused to tell anyone and created fake message bottles as though testing everyone else. So it's like when MatPat does ARGs. It was no surprise that more straight-laced witch hunters were seriously annoyed by these forgers. However, among those who simply like to entertain themselves with the occult fantasy of Irakenjima, an extremely small number accepted these creations as literary works, glad of these additions to the mysterious tale. Itoi Kukuro was the most highly regarded of these forgers. Yeah, I know what you mean. A lot of them kind of sound like similar, right? Obviously, there's the fact that the names also sound very similar, but they have like similar instrumentation and stuff. End of the Golden Witch. I've read that one. That's one hell of a hobby you've got there, killing off other people's families however you like. Did you come all the way here just to say that? I think not. Final descendant of the Ushida family. Hey, Angie could have kids. If she really wanted. In her latest forgery, and she killed off 7 members of my family, at least during the actual story. Now, if you count Alliance and Banquet, the other forgeries she's made before now, then she's killed off most of my family in horrible ways, over and over again. So interestingly, Angie's saying here that some of the previous episodes of Umineko were written by this person. Author self-insert, apparently. Of course I want to complain. However, all of our works are known for being, in both form and level of perfection, the closest tales to those written by Ushino Maria herself. In particular, Itoe Kukuro's first forgery, Banquet of the Golden Witch, managed to fit everything, including Ushime Eva's escape to Kuodorian. People wondered whether this might be the true story of Rakenjima, and it even made it onto the talk shows. So far, all of these tales have been nothing more than electronic text on the web. However, people will eventually realize that Itoe Kukuro is actually Hachijo Toya. When that happens, they'll become the works of that bizarre Hachijo, and no one will think of them as mere fan creations. People will probably start wondering if this might actually be a third message bottle she found and released under the guise of stories she herself wrote. When that happens, these stories will probably seem even more bizarre and credible. The Credibles. My favorite new Pixar movie. You're pretty cunning, aren't you? Why do you say that? You're doing this to make your forgeries seem more mysterious and more credible. And what do you mean by credible? Once you've gained credibility, your forgeries will rise to the level of truth. Rise to the level of truth? How foolish. Such a thing as... oh god, again. Such a thing as unnecessary remarks. Imagine she just walks around and whenever she starts like making a point to someone, it plays Love Examination. That would get really fucking grating. Are you saying that because your works are truth and not mere forgeries? Correct. They are truth, so there's no need for them to rise into anything. You weren't Marianne-chan, and you definitely weren't on Arkanjima on that day, so how can you be so absurd as to call this the truth? Hey, don't lose your cool, lady. Shut up, what makes you think I'm losing my cool? Back to truth shouting. Angie half realized that she'd let her emotions get the better of her. She let out a sigh and shrugged. The reason for coming here, it wasn't to yell at me for killing your family several times within my forgeries, correct? Hachijo had been smiling at Angie kindly, but in a condescending manner. Or else, like a mother, might watch over a very small child. Angie realized this, and was unable to suppress her irritation. Apparently, Amakusa could tell that Angie was getting worked up. He joked around with her for a bit, so that they could start the conversation over again from the beginning. The thing you came here to hear, it's the truth that I've reached, is it not? Why are you so sure that you reached the truth? Because I've understood all the tales. And I'm asking you why you're so sure about that. Do you think the sun ever revolved around the earth? Hachijo suddenly started talking about the Ptolemaic theory. Angie was about to tell her not to answer questions with more questions, but she quickly realized what Hachijo meant. Humans used to support the Ptolemaic theory. However, that theory has been rejected in the modern age. Does this mean that, at the instant that theory was rejected, the sun stopped moving, and the earth started revolving around the sun? Of course not. The truth doesn't change based on what humans believe. Then right now, your denial of my truth means exactly the same thing. The idea of heliocentrism was proposed by several scholars before Galileo. However, it was hard to objectively prove that theory using the scientific techniques available at the time. Even so, that didn't change what the truth was, and yet it moves. So, you're saying the truth is still the truth, whether you can prove it or not. Correct. In the future, when the full truth finally becomes known, people will look back and realize that I had already discovered it. Apparently, Angie just couldn't stand Hachijo's attitude, neither can I. She kept getting irritated, and every time, Amakusa would joke around until she settled down again. However, there could be no mistake that Hachijo was a genius, and had used her extraordinary intuition to form a most interesting outlook on the events that occurred on that island. That was why Angie had wanted to contact Itoe Kukuro and hear her views. Still, this meeting truly had been fortunate for Angie. She hadn't been absolutely sure that Itoe Kukuro was Hachijo Toya. She hadn't thought that the publishing company would really contact the author, and moreover, she hadn't dreamed that the mysterious masked author would grant her an interview under such short notice. The more she thought about it, the more she realized that some of the events leading to this meeting made her nothing short of a miracle. Yes, a miracle. After all, in almost all cases, I'd never be contacted by the publishing company, and would leave for Nijima the next day. I'd leave for Nijima, then go on to Rakenjima. And then give One-chan a Sakutaro stuffed animal. Huh? Why a Sakutaro stuffed animal? My memory of the future is all muddled. Yeah, it's because you're remembering the future, something that hasn't happened yet. So in all actuality, this is before what we saw of the Angie timeline. Oddly enough. My head hurts. So, remember, you go to Nijima, then from there you take the, boat to Rakenjima. Hachijo said something about showing Angie something good, rose from the sofa, and headed for the study desk. When she turned her back, Amakusa asked Angie, who seemed to be troubled by something, if she was okay. Hey, Amakusa, how long have I been here? What? You've been looking weird for a while now. What's going on? I can't remember how long I've been sitting here. Are you still half asleep? That's not it. I mean, I was able to get an appointment with Professor Otsuki, but the publishing company never got back to me about Itoi Kukuro. So in the end, I was stuck unable to do anything that entire day, right? Huh? Amakusa, you went to go get that large black bag, didn't you? That's right. Just before we left for Nijima, Amakusa and I parted ways just one time. He said something about getting a weapon from an acquaintance of his, and he went to go get that large black bag. Wasn't that today? What am I talking about? I mean, didn't I go to Nijima, meet Captain Kawabata, and inside the bed shop? Huh? What? Something wrong? Did my confusion and uncertainty make me sigh out loud? Even though Hachijo's back was to me, she slowly turned around and smiled as though she'd peered into my heart. No, it's nothing. Strange memories, ones that even I can't understand. I tried to hide my confusion, but for some reason, Hachijo had a strange glint in her eyes, as though she could read my mind. I've revived and killed your family several times within various forgeries, almost like a witch might. Reviving and killing them whenever you like. Endlessly. Sounds almost like Beatrice, doesn't it? Yes, it does. So please follow the lead of all those people in the web, and consider the possibility that I might be a witch. She took a thickly packed brown envelope out of a locked drawer. It appeared to be filled to the brim with printer paper. Perhaps this was a manuscript for one of her works. When I was a kid, I got a Christmas, no, I think it was a birthday present from this friend of mine who lived a few houses down. It was a smithing guide for Legend of Mana. You wanna know how long that is? It was like a 300-page guide. For my birthday, he just... I probably used up a couple M cartridges, actually. That was probably a fair bit of money. He handed me, like, this much paper. Like, legit, like, a heavy-ass stack of paper. I'm not gonna see how big that is. Hold on. I think it's still in game packs. Nice Legend of Mana. Let's see here. Tempering Fac. This is probably the one, 160 kilobytes. No, this one looks like it might be too short. I wonder. I don't know. Oh. No. This one made an advanced smithing guide in 2023. How about that? For the remake, which I still have yet to play, actually. Its stream materials map updated 10 months ago, 490 kilobytes. What the hell is this? Someone made an even bigger guide. Oh wow, this is terrible. You know, I like Legend of Mana a lot. It's a cool game. It was a big part of my childhood. But boy, is this game needlessly complicated. In like ways that you wouldn't even notice. Okay. Anyway, I'm not here for that today. Yeah, it's crazy though. I think there's ways to like underfill the value or something like that, because I know you can make weapons that just like one-shot stuff. But it might just be that that's how like silly the systems are in that game with like all the cars that they don't tell you the effects of. That game is ridiculous. I've never seen such like a complicated system put into a game with no explanation at all before. I'm trying to think of like any other game that has anything remotely similar to that, and just nothing comes to mind. Yeah, nothing comes to mind. I had the guide as a kid, but I didn't understand it. I just skipped to the parts that gave, like, exact instructions on how to make good weapons. And I just got the materials and I just made decent weapons and played the game with those. I mean, you can play the game without smithing. Thankfully, it's still pretty playable. But, that one difficulty that makes everything level 99 is a little bit difficult without some decent gear. Man, I want to play the remake. I gotta get that sometime. The neat letters written with a fountain pen on the envelope spells out the word dawn. Yeah, no future, that's what it was. I think it's Nightmare is like the middle difficulty, where everything gets like 30 levels higher, and no future is the level 99 one. There was no forgery by the name of Dawn, which must mean, and you could tell, this was a new one. Hachijo's newest unreleased forgery, Dawn of the Golden Witch. I believe this is the name the battler christened it with last time. For one such as I, who knows everything, everything is boring. However, I don't dislike letting the ignorant read my works to see what kind of reactions they have. And so, I want you to read it. Yes, real, I know that episode 6 is Dawn of the Golden Witch. Okay. I should chill. You're telling everyone else, that's fine. I forget if it said it on the, yeah, probably said it when I went to start a new game, actually. Probably good. You want me to read your newest work, which you've created as the new Endless Witch? Whoa, we're skipped a few steps here, Angie. Correct, child of man. Whether you resent it or admire it, you can help me forget my illness for a time. Let's put an end to this farce, shall we? Who are you? I don't remember ever meeting you like this. Yes, I did try to contact Hachijo Toya, but in the end I never got a chance to meet her. In other words, all this is a falsehood. Whose piece am I this time? Sorry, but if you think you can tame Ushime and Angie so easily, you're making a big mistake. Yes, I hoped you'd be this interesting. She finally couldn't hold it back and burst out laughing. Gradually, the space around them seemed to be filled with a strange purple mist. Affected by elements to week 2. Oh, do you mean like the element of like, yeah, you know, the world map with like location stuff? Can that change levels? I guess that makes sense. Again, that game has a lot of systems. I just remember fighting the boss on the beach in the lighthouse as a kid, and if you get hit by that thing's like self-destruct attack, you die from full HP. I remember that being a long, painful, and not very fun endeavor beating that thing on No Future. Her figure also twisted, and after something that couldn't be described elapsed, her form changed to become just what she had called herself. A witch. Who's this? Who's this new witch character? I don't know where Amakus is. Let's not worry about it. Let's see the ugly ass art. Let's go back. I'll give her appearance a second to sink in for some people. It might remind you of something. Yeah, I think really, like, the eyes are the worst part. Obviously, like, the face is a very important thing to draw in the first place. Splendid. You did well to see through my veil. It seems I'm the type witches just love to cling to. You all have that same condescending tone towards humans. I figured you were a witch right away. The novelist sitting on the sofa was nowhere to be seen. Even Angie's bodyguard, who was supposed to be around at times like this, was gone. There you go, Real. He's gone. There was only a non-human figure relaxing in a large, ornate rocking chair. I find you truly intriguing, child of man. Your charming nature is the perfect medicine for my boredom. Yeah, well, I don't see anything charming about this. Why am I alive? Wasn't I killed in a pretty nasty way for breaking the rule about revealing my name? I became a hamburger. To be honest, I did doubt that those people would just let me go so easily. What kind of farce will you be forced to go on with this time? I really don't care. I'll just do whatever I can within the bounds of the role they give me. Whatever I can to help Oni-chan. Of course I understand. Even if he wins, he'll never come back to me. Because, you know, this is like a different Angie than the one that would be in that fragment. Even so, I'll struggle on. I'll make sure Oni-chan comes back to the me of that day. No need to lose your temper. I'm not asking you to be at peace. And why did you summon me here? Don't tell me you want me to read this new story or whatever it is you've written. That's it exactly. I do not want you to be my piece. I have always been a mere observer, and I have no intention of sticking my neck into their game. I don't get it. What is it you want from me? Be an observer for me. An observer of the fragments Beatrice has woven. An observer? I don't really get it, but no deal. In the past, I observed the fragments through Battler's eyes. However, now that he has succeeded the position of Game Master, he is not a suitable observer. I am following this tale with true and earnest intentions. It would be such a waste to observe it through the eyes of Battler as he is now, like reading a detective novel backwards. Basically what she's saying is, it doesn't make sense for us to see the next game through the eyes of Battler if he's the Game Master, because that'd be spoilers. Essentially, so she's saying, Anji, you be the main character for episode 6. You read it. Oni-chan is the Game Master? What on earth are you talking about? You must have no clue what it's all about. You want to know, don't you? I want to know too. What kind of tale will Battler weave now that he's taken the position of Game Master? Furthermore, I wish to search for the truth Battler reached as part of my own mental journey. My illness affects me gravely. If I do not think, I cannot even keep my heart beating. So, you want me to read your new picture book aloud to you? She's asking questions about a book that she supposedly wrote. You might as well observe it that way. In exchange, you will also be able to take part in your own journey of the mind. I do believe that even you have yet to reach the truth. I think you want to continue on the journey to find that truth. I don't owe you anything. Do not push your luck. I can be lenient at times, but such cases are rare. Angie hadn't yet reached the truth either. Though she knew that the game was a little more than a toy for the amusement of those witches, she wanted it to resume, so that she could follow the tale and close in on the king called Truth. I might explore the tale to find the truth for myself, but I have no obligation to read it aloud until the end for your sake. Understand? Angie was willing to read the story aloud, but she could quit at any time if this witch made her mad. She was, in effect, warning the witch not to annoy her. Of course, you call it a picture book, but to me, it is the only medicine for a fatal illness. I cannot take that medicine without you to assist me. In other words, it's a mutually beneficial arrangement. So you're telling me to read you a book until you fall asleep, and in exchange, you'll let me read it too. Is that right? Precisely. If you're willing to accept, I shall ask that you become my reader for a time. Well, it's nice to get my own title, but all you really want me to do is read books, right? Becoming my reader means the same as becoming my familiar. In other words, what is done against you will be done against me. I will not permit anyone to disrupt my only interest, that being, to read the rest of Beatrice's tale. I will not let Brinkostal, Lamb the Delta, or even Beatrice force anything upon you. This witch seemed to have an almost divine quality to her, spoke both quietly and forcefully. There was no threat in her words. However, even so, it was clear that she was on a different level than Brinkostal and the other witches, and not at all to be taken lightly. So, you'll offer me protection if I agree to read your book. Of course. What I want is for you to read aloud to me. I will not spare any who attempt to stand in the way of that. If my attitude seems arrogant to you, allow me to apologize, child of man. It may not seem so, but I am speaking to you with the utmost respect. Yeah, probably. Even that witch-like style of speech. Feels like it's gotta be the most respectful thing you've said in the last few hundred years. Were you reading a book? Do you tell it, "Thank you very much," before flipping through the pages? I guess it is like that. I understand. Just by agreeing to have a conversation with Angie, she was showing an incredible amount of respect and willingness to compromise. Angie shrugged, but she also nodded to show her consent. Sure, I'll be your reader. I get that you showed a ton of respect just by asking for my consent first. You understand well, child of man. My name's Angie, not child of man or whatever. Very well. As proof of my respect for you, I will acknowledge your name. For her, acknowledging human names was like acknowledging the names of all the leaves scattered across the ground. So, her acknowledging Angie's name was a miracle. No, it was immensely good fortune. From this point forth, Lucian and Angie will serve as reader and Miko to the Witch of Theater-going, Featherine Augustus Aurora. Until you finish reading, I shall bring calamity to all who attempt to hinder your task. When the Witch of Theater-going, Featherine, spoke this, Angie was wrapped in a bright light. Yep. She's her new shrine maiden. Angie didn't feel any particular change herself, but she definitely had been given something that only non-humans could sense. It signified that from this point onward, Angie would be the Witch of Theater-going's subject. That didn't mean that Angie would gain some sort of special power, but at the very least, it probably meant that anyone wanting to cause her harm would first have to take on Featherine herself. Your name is pretty long. Sounds like some Roman person from the history books. What should I call you? Those not familiar with me call me Augustus Aurora. After all the respect you've shown me, it's only fitting that I respond in kind. I'll call you Featherine. Any problems? None at all. For an ailing witch such as myself, even being called by my first name will be an experience to be treasured over and over. Oh, treasured and pondered over, child of man. I have a name. It's Angie. Even conversations like this are pleasant every once in a while. Angie, my Miko. Angie accepted her role. She would observe this story with the Witch of Theater going. The curtain was rising at the sixth tale. So we've seen the late game of the sixth tale. We've seen people talking about reading the sixth tale. Can we finally start reading the sixth tale now? 51 minutes in. And the intro's even sillier than episode 5. But I love it. I'll check and see if she's been added to the bio screen too in a sec. Okay. Okay, yep, we got a few people here. So we have Featherine, Augustus Aurora, the majestic witch of theater going, drama and spectating. She is tired of life after 1,000 years and constantly repeats a cycle of life and death. In the past, she served as the master for several games as a legendary witch, but her legend, glory, and memory have already disappeared into the past and have been forgotten. Only the solemn medal she wears in her chest contains those memories. The horseshoe-shaped head object floating around her head is a memory aid device. It records her name, appearance, and other aspects of her personality. She's so old that she would not be able to preserve her own individuality without this. We already know who he is. I think he draws characters best when you can't see the legs, because otherwise they look really short. But like, she looks perfectly fine here. It's nice. It's really good. There's technically like some new text there, but it's no big deal, I don't think. Here's... Okay, so we have 3 whole pages now. We have 3 pages of characters now. To be fair, there's less on every one of them, though. Unless you count the fact that there's 7 characters here. Oh, we can! Battler. All caps Battler. The endless sorcerer and the final game master. He's the ruler of the game board and the territory lord. To prove that he has won Beato's game, he must act the part of the game master. By succeeding this, his victory will be acknowledged and Beato's game will reach its end. Because he knows all the truth, the plane on which he exists is higher than all the others. Essentially, he knows the answer, now he has to show his work. And they'll be like, yep, okay, you understood Beatrice's game, you did it, you won, good job. Maybe he's wearing Kinzo's cape? I mean, I don't know, is it Kinzo's cape? Let's see. Yeah, I don't know, Kinzo's dead. You can't even see his portrait. It's probably supposed to be Kinzo's cape, or at least modeled on it, I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. Not sure. Let's see. 2 new portraits. Oh, you can see him here. Okay, Kinzo. Sure. Weird. That seems like a bug. Let's see. Does it have like... it's different, isn't it? Yeah, it's different. Like, for one thing, it doesn't have the one-winged eagle there. Like, at that point, you could stop comparing it at all, really. Okay. Alright. At one time, only Beato and her fellow witches had gathered in this smoking room to chat. Now, however, an unusually large number of people were present. I wonder what kind of game Balor's gonna show us. I don't care what it is, as long as it's fun enough to relieve my boredom as I crush it. Leave everything to me, my master. I'll perform to my fullest and give you the results you desire. Yeah, you'd better. I kept making strange faces all this game thanks to you. I hope I don't start getting wrinkles from all that. There's no need to worry. The beauty of my master's face is without peer, no matter how wrinkly it may get. I love how quickly Erica switches to pathetic mode around Burn Castell. She can seem pretty intimidating otherwise, honestly. It's rare to see Bird in such high spirits. Beato's game board really is something else. How sad is it that the master of this game board is no longer with us? A tiger dies and leaves behind its hide. Looks like Beata died and left behind her game. Even though chess still exists, no one knows the name of the person who invented it. Oh, you're right. Yeah, poor game inventors. Come to think of it, Balor-san really has kept us waiting, hasn't he? Is he still setting up the 6th game? Gertrude, how have Lord Balor's preparations progressed? Please allow me to speak. Know that he will be finished very soon. If he's kept us waiting this long, he must be pretty confident in his plan. He really humiliated me in front of my master last time. I'll defeat him no matter what it takes. And you in particular. Make sure you don't screw up again. I will meet the challenge with all of my strength. The previous game master, Lambda Delta, had confirmed that Balor understood everything about Beato's game. However, in order to prove it, Balor would have to run this game by himself and carry it through to completion. In other words, if Erika could crush this game of Balor's, she would, in effect, wipe away the dishonor of that last game. Though Erika was chomping at the bit to get started, it was taking Balor quite some time to show himself. At that time, a swarm of gold butterflies popped into existence into a human form. From the shape of that familiar dress, everyone immediately realized who it was. But Beatrice is dead. Ah, look, it's Beatrice-san. I thought you had died and disappeared last time. The one who died last time was Beatrice the player. This is probably just a piece. Balor's piece. Even if she is a piece, it does not change the fact that it is her. Beatrice gave an elegant courtesy as she appeared. This humble entrance was so vastly different from her usual high-pitched laugh that it made the long-awaited start of the 6th game feel even more ominous than it otherwise would have. Father will be here very soon. I ask that you wait for just a short while longer. Father? The heck? Is that the new spin this time? Not only had Beato started talking in an unusually polite manner, he had also used the word father, presumably referring to Balor. For an instant, everyone was stunned into silence, but they quickly realized that this was setting up some kind of theme, and they grinned. Beato wasn't the type who could keep up this kind of act for long. It would probably fall apart in a few seconds, leaving her cackling brutally at everyone. Erika, who was itching for a fight, went for Beato almost at once. I can't believe that incompetent Balor-san reached the truth of your game. I'm sure her father understands it quite deeply. He really is good at that sort of thing. Still, you're pretty lucky. If Balor hadn't become the game master, you wouldn't have revived again. You really got the luck of the devil, don't you? The luck of the devil? Well, either way, I'm going to pay you back in full for last time. You're just one of Balor's delusions, so I'll erase every part of you and knock you down into the abyss of oblivion. I too cannot allow you such an easy victory. I, look forward to having a good, clean fight. She's so confused. By this point, everyone realized that something weird was going on. There was no doubt that the face, the dress, and the hair were all Beatrice's. However, her expression was different. Even though she had Beato's face, Beato would never show anyone an expression like that. Erika being a sewer rat thing? I have no idea where that comes from. Who are you? There was a heavy silence, and the Delta spoke for everyone there. At first, Beato had worn a smiling yet blank expression. However, when she realized that the mood had gone suddenly stiff, her expression finally darkened, and she hung her head. Who are you? You appear to be Lady Beatrice, but are you not? Even Delena was forced to ask, despite the rudeness of the question. That was how much this woman, who appeared to be Beato, was not. Am I somehow different from the Beatrice everyone was expecting? What are you talking about? Wait a second. Don't tell me you have amnesia or something. I was only born recently, so I have no memories at all. However, I will study hard in order to become the Beatrice you all expect. Beato, I thought I told you to stay in your room. Balor's voice came out of nowhere. His tone was very slightly cold. Beato's expression looked like that of a young girl being scolded. And here he is. He just showed up in the menu before here. With a swirl of gold butterflies, Balor appeared. His dignified bearing and his appearance were fitting for the ruler of this game. However, his expression was gloomy, and his gaze was directed at Beato. Go back to your room. You weren't supposed to be here. I just wanted to help you however I could, Father. Go to your room. He spoke both softly and forcefully. Oh yeah, you're right, it does play. Yeah, during the Kinzo opening, where he's drinking his like stinky green juice. Balor didn't leave her any room for debate. Beato hung her head and curtsied as she prepared to leave the room. Also, yes, what is it, Father? My name is Balor. Never call me by a different name again. Yes. Beato melted into a cloud of gold butterflies and disappeared. He wears it better. This was the first part of the tale with Balor as the Game Master. The witches had all assumed that he'd come forward with some flashy big developments, so this was all completely unexpected to them. Their mouths were still hanging open. This is a pretty weird take on it. Pardon me. Please forget what you saw just now. You're playing dumb, but this is all just part of your plan, isn't it? You're scheming to give us the wrong impression, like another North Wind in the Sun strategy, aren't you? Is there something wrong? Don't worry about it. It has nothing to do with you people. Don't call Delanar people. Delanar's a great person. Respect Delanar, please. I see. Guess it doesn't matter then. Okay, Balor. I'll start up a new game right away. You've kept us waiting so long, it's gotten totally boring. Sure. Let's start the 6th game. Erica, and you too, Bryn Castell. This will be my tale, proof that I've reached Beatrice's truth. I'm the Delta. Please watch this game until the end, as a former game master. Sure, looking forward to it. What's the title? Dawn. As in the Dawn of the Golden Witch. Sure, if we're talking about a winter sun that goes below the horizon right away. Of course, my master. I'll drag it back down for you. At least your naming sense is good though, Balor-san. I'll give you that much. I'm glad you like it. Then let's get started. This game will now begin. Balor solemnly announced the start of the game. Compared to his fired-up attitude at the end of the previous game, where he and Erica had sworn to settle everything next time, he was extremely quiet now. Balor just seems kind of tired. He's just done with this. Angie? Beato seems to have changed a lot since we last saw her. You wrote this. I'm surprised too. I don't have a clue what's going on. I don't even get why Beato's alive in the first place. I just finished reading it a second ago, but at the end of the previous tale, didn't she die just before Balor reached the truth? There are two kinds of deaths in this world. One of them is when a piece is taken from the game board. Such a death exists only within the bounds of the game, and these pieces can revive over and over again, each time a new game begins. That's why the witches are so merciless when it comes to taking those lives. To the witch players, the lives of those characters who appear on the game board are no different from pieces on a chessboard that take other pieces and get taken. After all, these pieces will be set up again when the next game starts. Maria's Sakataro is a prime example of these. Sakataro is One-chan's piece? Yes, that makes sense. In the game board that represents the inside of One-chan's head, Sakataro certainly does exist, and is a piece that always stays by her side. Though he's nothing more than a stuffed animal in the real world, on One-chan's game board, he's no less a piece than any other. But I wonder, if he were a piece in a witch's game, it should be possible to revive him easily, right? But One-chan wasn't able to revive Sakataro in her world. That's because she lost that completely unique stuffed animal that was his vessel. Dry lips. Because of this, the conditions for that piece's existence were violated, and it became impossible to revive him on Maria's game board. The only reason you were able to revive Sakataro on the game board was because you once again satisfied the conditions for his existence, correct? True. Mario One-chan was only able to revive him because she had lost the stuffed animal that was his vessel. If, like the rest of my family on Beato's game board, she had needed a vessel for him, she would have been able to revive him as often as she wanted. I get it. It makes sense that Sakataro was One-chan's piece. At least, as long as his vessel was okay, he could have been revived over and over again. Correct. As long as his vessel is safe, he can be revived over and over again. That's what the life of a piece is like. That's the first kind of death in this world. What's the second? That's the deaths beings outside the game board. To continue with the Sakataro example, this would be like Maria's death. You mean, not her death as a piece, but the death of the real One-chan, right? Not necessarily. Loss of interest or concern would have the same effect. When Moria outgrows playing with stuffed animals, Maria the game player will die. It's as quick and easy as turning off the switch on a TV when you get bored of it. I see. In that case, Beato the player completely gave up on winning during the last game, so she died and vanished. Which means If Beato ever comes back, thinking that she's got a chance of defeating Oni-chan, that'll mean she's coming back to life, right? Logically, that is true. It's the same for humans, witches, and even gods. If they lose interest and concern, they can die at any time. And if they regain that interest, they can revive at any time. However, the concept of time does not exist in the world of gods, and they can revive whenever they want. Time shoots by like an arrow in the human world, and it isn't so easy there. That's true. Skipping school for one day might not be a problem. But if you skip for 3 days in a row, it'd be really hard to convince yourself to go back. And what if that stretched out for a month, a year, a decade, or 1,000 years, like in the world of witches? I see. I mean, if anything, Toho's system is the whole gods just because they're believed in, which is also kind of in Umineko, you could say. A bit more complicated, maybe. I see. If you skip class for that long, it'd mean your death socially. After being dead that long, not only would you be unwilling able to catch up on all you missed of the world at large, you'd also lose any motivation you might have had when you left. So, even though you'd be alive, it'd be fair to say that you died once. You would never again be able to regain the self that you once were. It would never come back to life. Beato lost any chance of hope for winning. Any chance or hope of winning. Even though she knew this, she pretended not to and kept on fighting for many, many games. So, Beato will not return. Her hopes were crushed. She spent all the willpower that she might have used to regain the will to fight. Therefore, that Beatrice will never revive again. Shit. That Beato, who just sat around the whole time with empty eyes in the 5th game, must have been a corpse. Beato gone. That was the best character. She managed to remain on the game board despite it all, but even that corpse was wiped away. If Beato had been the game master at that time instead of Lambda Delta, the game board itself would have vanished at that moment, and everything would have ended. Come to think of it, Beato started to lose the will to fight back near the end of the 4th game. When Beato loses the will to fight, the world of this game disappears. However, the witches wanted to keep playing in this game board world, so Lambda Delta bound Beato in place with that cursed shackle. She used that shackle to fix the game board in place and prevent it from disappearing, even if Beato did lose the will to fight. In chess, this would be the equivalent of removing the set time limit for each turn, making it endless. However, simply having the game endlessly paused on Beato's turn would cause the witches to die from their illness of boredom. That's why Lambda Delta took the position of Game Master. Starting then, Beato's existence was no longer one of the conditions necessary for the game's existence. That's probably why the shackles binding her to the game board were released. And that explains why she disappeared in the 5th game. Will we ever see Beatrice again? For real? So when Oni-chan managed to reach the truth, it was one game too late for him to tell Beato about it. The 5th game was a form of charity on Lambda Delta's part. She merely showed Battler some mercy as the Witch of Certainty, acknowledging his strong desire to reach the truth no matter what. How can you call that charity? It's just those fickle witches killing time. Let's get back to the point. So that means this weird Beato isn't the player Beato. She's just a piece Beato. True. If that is the case, she should eventually become the Beato everyone knows. I imagine that is the Beato that Battler wants. You mean, he wasn't satisfied with just a doll? When playing with dolls, one can project the personality they most desire onto the doll. However, since you are acting out their part, nothing unexpected can ever happen. You cannot hope for any unanticipated happiness. In the human world, there is nothing so boring as a pre-established harmony. That's why, though a doll can become a person's best friend in the world, people eventually get bored and outgrow them. Oni-chan only wants the real Beato. He couldn't bear having a doll that only acted like Beato. Beato, born as Battler's piece, would probably move according to Battler's wishes. That's only natural for a piece. Pieces move however their players tell them to, and they can't do anything else. I see what it is Oni-chan wants. So what's up with this weird Beato? Battler might be trying to revive Beato in the true sense. That is the never-dying dream held by children of man. You just used the red to say that wasn't possible. That Beato will never revive. However, that doesn't mean that it's impossible for Beato to be born again. Ooh. Have you forgotten? I believe that Castell herself revealed Beato's true form at the end of the 1st game. Now I remember. She said something about how Beato exists as an incarnation of a rule. Information began to be accumulated based around that rule, and in the end, it took the form of the witch known as Beatrice. If that pattern is followed once more, the same Beatrice will be born again, and perhaps one could call that a resurrection. In other words, that weird Beato is Beato as an egg, or maybe a chick. That interpretation is probably accurate. In short, this Beato is a chick who might grow to become that Beato. And thusly she is called Chick Beatrice. In Japanese, Hina Beatrice. Yes, Hina from Toho Project became Beatrice. Someone commissioned Miso-soba. Chop chop, get to it. Hina Beatrice. And that means this pure and lovable kid will eventually grow into that screwed up crazy witch. I'm on it. In other words, that Beato is a baby version of the Beato we all know. So just like know how person is no born evil. So just like how no person is born evil, the newborn Beato isn't evil either. Even though she really is a different person, if you measure her by her root, or perhaps her soul, then maybe you really could call this a resurrection. However, this reality can't possibly be easy to accept. Though she may technically be Beato herself, she is also, without a doubt, a different person. And that way she acts would make anyone feel as though something's out of place. Let me see if she gets added yet. Is Hina Beatrice in here yet? Probably not. Probably gets added later. Yeah, it does kind of seem like Balor's trying to cope. How entertaining. Hearing you read aloud is far from boring. I doubt you even really need someone to read aloud for you. Looks like you already know everything. I only reached that thought because I am engaged in a conversation with you. My thoughts are more numerous than the stars in the sky. I only appear to know everything to a child of man like you. However, without you here, I'm nothing but a weak, sickly person without even the power to think. If you just said that in the first place, I would have agreed to read for you a lot more easily. My mood just happened to improve. Don't get an overswelled impression of yourself. Your life means less to me than a leaf one is lost after using it as a bookmark. Wow. Please keep reading already. Is that pretty much what you're trying to say? Heh, far from boring. You really do make an excellent Miko. Featherine rocked back in her rocking chair and looked up at the ceiling, laughing as though the conversation itself was pleasant for her. I was just looking to see what that was. Like a little shrine or something. Angie was slowly figuring out how to deal with a strange witch. This person was also bored. It's not uncommon for a sick person who's bored from being bedridden for a long time to start acting rebellious. On the other hand, they can also get a little bored of being treated kindly all the time. She may want to be shown respect for her superiority, but it's probably more interesting for her when she's spoken to rudely. What a coincidence. That's exactly how I used to be. Anyway, from what we learned in the fourth game, there's no doubt that there's been some kind of antagonism between Beato and Nichan in the past. Learning about this Beato might give us a key to finding the truth. It does seem so. It has caught my interest as well. Let's read her tale too. Oh sure, as you wish, my master. When Angie raised her hands like a conductor, the bookshelves in this bizarre study responded. Once again, several books floated out and began to swirl around Angie. Once again, I don't remember that happening before. I'm a bad reader though. Kinzo studies the room belonging to the master in the human world. So this study in the world of non-humans belonged to the master of the game board, and was a place where he could look down upon the humans. Therefore, one could hardly be blamed for mistaking the imposing, beer-robed man at the center of the study for Kinzo, if only for a second. But it wasn't Kinzo. This was Balor, the one who had taken up the position of Game Master, becoming the new territory lord of this world. Around Balor was a swirl of glowing fragments, sparkling like the night sky, and the floor was what appeared to be a red magic circle. To an outsider, it would seem to be nothing more than an incomprehensible geometric shape. But to Balor, who stood at its center, it was the outline for a new tale. Let me get some water. Oh, gotta get some water to catch my breath, honestly. Give me a second. Hopefully I'm less thirsty now, and I can read without face drying out. Goodness. A new line grew across the magic circle, following Balor's gaze. Then, at the instant he connected with a complicated symbol, the entire magic circle flashed brightly. Is you're on the Castlevania Donosaro circle. He's doing the lightning bolt one. Can't find this OST. Did you go look in the wiki? Like I said, there's a thing. Hold on. Let me see if I can figure it out for you here. Dawn of the Golden Witch. Let me see here. Summary. So we'll go on the summary page on the wiki here. I'll link here actually. I think it's probably... Is it surrounding, I think, maybe? I think it's surrounding by the looks of it. Look down in the Game Master section. I think it's surrounding. Just judging by what it says. So, how does it look? It is splendid, Master. The sixth game is complete. As Balor wiped his forehead and finally relaxed, Genji, who was standing behind him and watching over his every move, nodded deeply in response. I always thought being a game master meant you could make the tale however you want. This is seriously harder than I thought. You must write multiple tales and make the inner and outer sides of the story match. Though truly you've displayed such skill. It's hard to believe that this is your first time. I don't remember it either. It must have not played for long. Not like it played along for here either. Very forgettable. I believe even Erika-san will be satisfied with this game. Well, hopefully it matches that great detective's tastes. Still, I've got to honestly respect Bieto now. I can hardly believe that she managed to make tales that complicated and to do it so easily. Easily? Far from it. Beatrice-sama also worried, racking her brain over various contradictions each time she created a tale. She was constantly battling with logic errors. Logic errors? That is when the two sides of the tale do not meet, creating a contradiction. When this happens, it becomes a fatal violation of the rules known as a logic error, and the game board will immediately collapse and be destroyed. It is the greatest and worst form of error that the witch side can make, and one which must always be avoided. So, Beato got close to bumping into those many times in her games. She fought with him every time she created a game. I believe it grew even more difficult for her as she became a more formidable opponent. So, do you think this game I've made is good enough to show Beato? Yes, of course. Beato hasn't woken up yet, has she? It's been a while since her body was formed as a personification of the rules. Is she still not awake? After remaining silent for a while longer, Genji answered. She woke up 3 days ago. You were concentrating in the construction of the 6th game, so I decided to wait before telling you. My sincere apologies. Oh really? Yeah, I'll bet she's still all drowsy after sleeping so long. I really wanted to show her my game. No, it's more than that. I have to show her. I need to tell her that I've understood everything. Balor's face broke into a smile. There was no trace in its expression of the hatred he had once felt towards Beato for murdering his family. In a way, that was the final riddle of the 5th game. Yes, when Balor reached the truth, there was a great change in impression of Beato. So, should we assume that there really was something between Oni-chan and Beato, and they forgot all about it? So they're trying to figure out the whole thing there. We still don't know the answer to this. They're gonna, like, remind us here. However, Balor suspected this in the 4th game and asked Beato about it. According to the tale, this was denied by the Red Truth. 6 years ago, no person called Beatrice existed for Balor. We could read this as saying that Beato did not exist 6 years ago, or it could simply mean that she had no connection to Balor at that time. However, either way, Balor did not visit Rokkenjima at all for the next 6 years. October 4th, 1986 should have been the first time Beatrice and Oni-chan met. If so, why was there already some kind of antagonism between them? I don't have a clue what it means. That sin was shooting at battlers, which Beato took Battler to task for in the 4th game, might give us a clue. The result of that might have been Beatrice herself. The result? The result of Oni-chan's sin was Beato. It almost sounds as though Oni-chan created the witch called Beatrice himself. Almost as though Beatrice was Battler's piece. Huh? Battler sinned 6 years ago. Because of that sin, people died. The one doing the killing was Beatrice. If you consider the possibility that everything is connected to Battler's sin 6 years ago, then the one who created Beatrice was Battler himself. I thought it sounded almost as though she was Battler's piece. But that's just a theory. A feathering theory. I don't get it. Even if Oni-chan sinned in some way, his crime couldn't have been anything close to murder. If this huge massacre is in retaliation for what he did, then it's totally out of proportion. Beato killed their family. Dad, Mom, Oni-chan, everyone. I can't believe that Oni-chan's sin was anything deserving of that. The weight of a sin depends on the person measuring it. Even a sin so light that Battler might have forgotten could have been so serious to Beato that she hated him enough to massacre his whole family a full 6 years after the fact. Well, even I find that a bit excessive, and more importantly, if she were a person like that, I would find it hard to accept that Battler would act so friendly towards her after discovering the truth. Featherine's observation was an interesting one. In a past game, Beato clearly said that Oni-chan's sin 6 years ago was the cause of this 2-day tragedy. I still don't know what kind of sin that was. However, he figured out what it was at the end of the 5th game, and even apologized to Beato. Even though she was the witch who had massacred his entire family in retaliation for his sin of 6 years previous, Battler apologized to her. Of course, it was the player Battler who apologized, not the piece Battler, whose family had been murdered over and over again. But even so, Battler must have remembered something at the end of the last game that made him feel like apologizing. Does that mean the sin from 6 years ago is hidden somewhere in the tales we've seen so far? I've already formed a certain theory on that matter. Oh? Let's hear it. I cannot tell you yet. I want to enjoy being the only one who knows the answer for a little while longer. Well then, I guess I'm done reading for you. Well, we can't have that, can we? Have some patience and read a bit further. My theory is still nothing more than a guess. Once I'm certain of it, I'll tell you. Okay, my master. I actually do want to hear what comes next, after all. Just what kind of connection do Oni-chan and Beatrice have with each other? Understanding that will probably give me a massive clue towards finding the truth of this world. After all, because he remembered that, he was able to reach the truth. Umineko somehow manages to continue getting more and more abstract with every episode. Beatrice. Welcome, Master. Beatrice-sama is waiting for you. This way, please. This place was villa set aside for Beatrice's use. It was a sacred site for her only, built so that she could spend her days without being affected by the outside world. My heart began to race. I'm so glad that she was able to revive and that everything's okay. Beato is a personification of the rules. So, even though she was destroyed once, it's possible for her to be reborn again. Balward quickly succeeded in reviving Beato's body, but he'd had trouble summoning her soul back. However, during the time he'd spent immersed in the creation of the 6th game, she'd woken up. And this had happened 3 days ago. Interpret that however you like. Balward let himself be led into the dining hall. The dining hall had been set up for his and Beato's use. It existed so that they could enjoy some black tea while having conversations that were only possible now that he had reached all of the truth. I want to tell her. I want to tell Beato that I found the truth. Balward cannot hold back his excitement over this miracle he'd been granted. The miracle of Beato waiting for him in the dining hall to hear what he had to say. How's Beatrice? Same as usual? Is she doing well? Oh yes, she is doing quite well. She's been waiting for you all this time, Master. Oh yes. So she's in the dining hall. Is she eating or something? Oh, that's okay. It doesn't matter either way. Oh, you'll be surprised. Beatrice! When he swung open the doors to the dining hall, Bella was greeted by a wonderful sight. Though the food laid out on the table wasn't particularly sensational, it was arranged beautifully, and champagne bottles stood there waiting. Date night with Beatrice! I want a date night with Beatrice. Then the person clad in that familiar dress with the beautiful golden hair bowed deeply in greeting. Beatrice, you have my sincerest gratitude for giving me this form. Come on, don't worry about that. I'm so glad, Beato. Bella rushed up to Beato and hugged her tightly, just to make sure her body wasn't just missed her illusion. I solved your riddle for you. But then, before I could tell you about it, you went and disappeared. I'm right here. I will not disappear. It's okay, you can stop talking like that. I'm not going to ask you for anything in return. Anyway, I want to apologize, and I want to talk with you. I don't even know where I should start. You've done nothing that you need to apologize for, Father. I'm just glad to be of service to you. Beato? Beatrice was born for your sake, Father. Please, let me support you. And Father, congratulations on completing the 6th game. I told you, stop talking like that. You're creeping me out. Do you find this style of speech displeasing? Please forgive my rudeness. Well, I don't find it displeasing, but it's not like you. I guess I like the way you usually talk best. I want you to call me incompetent and red. Beato smiled vaguely. I wouldn't call this smiling at all. To Balor, it probably looked as though they were both smiling at the unusual way she was talking. I wonder if she looks any different in, yeah, she looks awkward. Which I guess is correct. However, Beato's smile literally was vague and uncertain. After all, she didn't know how she was supposed to talk. Anyway, Beato, just what kind of joke is this? Don't tell me that the great Beatrice-sama decided to cook for me. When I heard that you'd completed the 6th game, I wanted to see if I could prepare a modest reward to congratulate you. Oh, Beatrice-sama really worked hard to make this. I didn't even need to land a hand at all. No, I didn't. The food set on the table really was modest and inexpertly made. You could tell by looking at it that Beato, who wasn't particularly skilled with cooking, had given it her all. However, signs of discomfort and irritation were beginning to appear in Balor's face. What's going on here? Well, as she said, Beatrice-sama wishes to congratulate you. Sweat was starting to show up on Kumasawa's forehead. She was also feeling uneasy. When he noticed, Balor realized that it wasn't just his imagination. Beato turned back to Balor and stuck a corkscrew into the champagne bottle. Then she showed it to Balor. Father, congratulations on the completion of the 6th game, in the hopes that you will prove victorious over your longtime rival, Furuta Erika. Long time. They've had one game. When presented with a champagne bottle and a sound like that, anyone would think that the cork had been pulled out. However, it wasn't the cork. It was the bottom of the bottle. The high-quality champagne that Beato had procured splashed out all over the floor in her dress. Then the same sound repeated several more times. Each time, one of the plates of food on the table was knocked into the air. But, Father, did you find the food displeasing? Who are you? I am Beatrice. I was born for your sake, Father. That's not right. Huh? Who is this? This isn't Beato. Anyway, don't call me Father. What's going on here? What is this? Didn't I revive Beato? Genji, what's this all about? My apologies, but that is indeed Beatrice-sama. Are you kidding me? How is this supposed to be Beato? She's totally wrong. A fake. No, this is Beatrice-sama. This is, without a doubt, Beatrice-sama, who was born in accordance with the rules of the game board. No, this isn't anything like Beato. Beato would always talk in that weird way and laugh rudely, and... No, this is most certainly Beatrice-sama herself. Then why is she talking like that? Why is she calling me Father? But Beatrice-sama was only born a short while ago. It would be far too cruel to expect her to act as she once did so soon. You're saying that her memory hasn't returned yet? Master, this person truly is Beatrice-sama herself. However, she is not the Beatrice-sama you know so well. What are you talking about? I'm the Game Master, right? Why can't I revive Beato? Beatrice-sama has revived. However, the old Beatrice-sama lived for 1,000 years. This Beatrice-sama, on the other hand, was only born a short while ago. If she appears to be a different person, well, that just can't be helped. Then, how can I revive that Beato? Her body is right here. How can I revive her soul? If she lives the same 1,000-year life again, she should become the same Beatrice-sama she was before. Are you telling me to wait 1,000 years? A person's personality isn't decided solely by their birth. It can change drastically based on how they live and what they experience. Attempting to reconnect? What do you mean attempting to reconnect? Eh? Okay, let me know when it's up, I guess. Hello? 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 Don't you do it, OBS. Don't you crash on me. No, 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 no. Okay. Please don't crash. Come on. I don't think it's coming back. Alright, well, that's probably a good place to end the recording. Do you understand? No, I don't understand why I got disconnected. Please, Valerine, troubleshoot. Oh, Wizard of Windows. And theater going. Even though she's the same Beato, she's not the same. I get it. Even if you had two of the exact same person, they could change enormously depending on their upbringing. Even though they might both be the same human to start with, their upbringing could change them so much that they effectively become two completely different people. Usually, we use the term person to refer to a person, not their personality. However, since humans recognize a person by their personality, those two might as well be different people from a human perspective. Oh no. That's so true. If that tragedy 12 years ago hadn't happened, this little lady of ours might be a cute girl who could smile without looking weird. That's rude. I'm plenty cute as it is. I understand. If a personality is what makes a person in our eyes, you could probably say that a second personality represents a different person entirely, even if it inhabits the same flesh body. At the very least, I'm a completely different person than I used to be 12 years ago. And if my family had come home 12 years ago, then the energy that resulted would surely be a completely different person from me. Even a single human can become a different person. In fact, depending on their upbringing and endless possibilities, they can become an endless number of different people. So just because this is Beato, there's no guarantee that she'll become the Beato that Oni-chan knows so well. And on top of that, Beatrice is a witch who lived 1,000 years. People can die and be reborn in just 3 days. 1,000 years is such a huge amount of time. It seems you're quite a skilled reader. For most of my readers, it would be necessary to spend several hundred pages to explain how a single person can become different people depending on their upbringing and time. So now she's actually reading this out in the real world with Amakusa just sitting there watching, I guess. Don't underestimate your readers. We aren't just reading. We read and we think. If I make 100 people read it, about 90 will be able to. However, only 50 will understand what it means. And not even 20 will actually think beyond that. And all I ask is that they think it over a bit. Nothing more than that. However, it seems that you are one of those precious 20 readers. That's why I invited you here, child of man. It was seriously hard to like this Hachijo Toya person. However, though this forgery she had written was still in its first stages, it definitely felt as though it contained something very similar to the tales in those message bottles. Speaking metaphorically, one might call it a scent, an indescribable, unique, and stern atmosphere like a stuffy library. The Beatrice who wrote the message bottles and Hachijo Toya are different people. And yet, this has the same scent as that tale. I see. This is why some of those curious witch hunters are so intensely devoted to her. Their keen sense of smell is able to sniff out that familiar scent. Very well then. Please continue reading. There could be nothing more entertaining than watching your face as you glance over the words. That and speaking with you. I guess it's true that writers are always starving for opinions of their works. However, sorry to disappoint you. I don't have time to read all the way through this thick manuscript. More importantly. And yet you have plenty of time. Both the second hand and the pendulum on the unit clock behind Hachijo had been moving the whole time. However, absolutely no time had passed for a while now. Only about 3 minutes had gone by since the time she'd entered the room. See? Time isn't one of your problems. No sort of time will chase you away until you've finished reading. You're stuck here. Next page, lady. Next page. Amaku's badged me to turn the page, so I return to the world of the tale once more. Guy looks like a personified Shadow the Hedgehog. Why does her tale have the same scent as Beatrice's, I wonder? Is it because she actually has reached the truth, as she claims? Ooh. Does this mean that anyone who knows the truth could create an endless number of message bottles? Is that how the Catbox world works? I see. I guess she might also be an endless witch. In fact, maybe anyone who knows the truth can become an endless witch. An endless tale created by the endless witches. The 2 days starting on October 4th, 1986, where my family is being toyed with endlessly. I have to end it. I have to find a hint of the truth from within this story and end this endless tale. Good luck with that. What do you think, Beato? How's this 6th game I've made? Melanie, she has the pipe. Well, you're not the type to give me an honest compliment anyway. You'd probably say something more like, not bad for an incompetent fool like you. Not bad for an incompetent fool like you. Heh. Now that I've seen what it's like to be a game master, it's pretty clear. I wasn't the only one who had it rough each and every game. Creating a game is far from easy. I certainly never expected us to recognize each other's efforts like this. Creating a game is far from easy. I certainly never expected us to recognize each other's efforts like this. All wrong. This isn't Beato. Valor slammed hard on the desk, but the piece Beato showed no reaction. After all, Valor hadn't ordered her to react. It would be easy to revive that Beato was a piece. However, it would only move according to Valor's wishes. Having a conversation with it was no different from talking to himself. The Game Master could summon any kind of piece. He could move those pieces in any way he wanted, reigning as an absolute god. However, for that very reason, they were just pieces. That made it unbelievably lonely and sad. You created many kinds of furniture, as well as several tales in the past. When I saw that, I'm sure you were having a great time doing it. That's all wrong. You were unbelievably lonely. It must have been such a relief for you, having an opponent like me who could actually go against you. Yep, I'm painfully aware of that now. That weird polite Beato really was you, wasn't she? The way you were 1,000 years ago. And yet, she's a different person. The way she looks just like you is what I really can't get over. Can't stand it. However, she isn't a piece, so she can go against my will. That Beato is much more alive than a piece like you. I get that. But it's all wrong. That isn't you. She's a completely separate person, like a long-lost little sister or something. And that's why I just can't accept her. As much as he hated the piece version of Beato, Valor felt an even stronger dislike for the chick Beato. Even after a whole 1,000 years, she still wouldn't become the original Beato. Even if she were ordered to act like the original Beato, it would just be an imitation. This was a very similar but separate person, and definitely not Beato herself. So, in the previous game, Beato really did disappear for all eternity. Even after becoming the Game Master, there was no way to revive her. Laugh. Laugh at how pathetic I am. Hehehe. Just give it a rest already. Just an illusion who won't laugh unless I order it. Who can't even continue to laugh unless I keep on ordering it. Just disappear. Poor Valor. He's coping real hard. I just love how different every episode of Umineko ends up being. Like, each episode is exponentially different from the last. Anyone who's only read 1 through 4 could, like, never fathom that any of this happens. On Akenjima this day, or rather this round, was the same as any other. The typhoon would be coming very soon. The sky was still overcast, but the clouds were moving quickly. Thankfully, we're way past the point, I think, where we need, like, all the adults talking about inheritance issues. I think we're over that now. The only thing in Natsu's mind was the plan to cover Kinzo's absence again this year. Kurasu appeared to have suffered a stomachache from the stress and was sleeping in his room. Hi Kuwabata. He's here for once. It's funny that I'm surprised they didn't ever like go back and retroactively add his portrait into episode 1, because like he speaks in episode 1 quite a few times, like at the start of the game and whatnot. But you don't see him. You don't get his portrait until episode 4. It's kind of weird that like with all the re-releases that Umineko's gotten, it never got added back in. It's weird. Jessica and Kumasawa had left in a boat to go shopping and greet the incoming relatives on Nijima. The servants had been busy since the early morning, preparing for the family conference, the greatest event of the year. Shannon and Cannon were rushing to get the guest house ready. If the relatives are going to stay the night, shouldn't the guest rooms in the band should be more than enough? Good point. It's a pain to clean up this place too, after all. Even so, I like cleaning the guest house. Yeah, it's nice and quiet without Madame and all the annoying servants. Shannon smiled wryly as she performed a detailed examination of the guest room. Did we forget to clean anything? Do we need to restock anything? She diligently gave the room one final check over. You checked everything thoroughly last night too, didn't you? You really are dedicated. It's days like this that you tend to get pranked if you're careless. You can never find important things when you need them, and things that were supposed to be closed turn out to be open. It's because you're too careless. You don't pay attention while you work. I guess that's why you're helping me check. Thanks. There's nothing to thank me for. If you were a bit more alert, I wouldn't have to help at all. But you actually just want to be with me, right? You're such a kid. That's not it at all. It's all because you've been so ecstatic about George-sama lately. You're missing up so much I can't let you out of my sight. Cannon-kun, let's chat a bit. We can't do that now. We're working. You keep making fun of me and George-sama. But how's it going between you and Jessica-sama? Nothing's going on in particular. If you have time to talk about that, let's just finish this. Wah! Cannon had very obviously been trying to change the subject. Shannon had then snuck up behind him and pushed him down onto the bed. Let's not get weird about this. So why did you turn down my lady when she asked you to go with her to welcome the relatives? Because I have work to do. Liar. You don't actually have any work at all. Shannon and Cannon had switched roles. Normally, Cannon was the one in control, but when it came to romance, it was the opposite. As Shannon had said, Jessica and Cannon were supposed to have been the ones to go greet the relatives at the harbor on Nijima. However, Cannon had suddenly claimed that he had work to do, so Kumasawa had gone instead. Cannon didn't have any work to do. Shannon knew this. My lady told me. Despite what happened after the cultural festival, she really does like you, Cannon-kun. Even though I'm furniture. That's right, and I'm furniture too. But despite that, you're in love with a human. Even though you can't do that. You think so? Maybe we're furniture, just because we take that for granted. I don't have any special feelings for my lady Jessica. I only think of her as the daughter of the family we serve. Really? Really? What? You know, there is a chance that George-sama will propose to me tonight. Shannon wore an incredibly peaceful smile on her face, but Cannon could tell there was no way she'd let him change the subject. Cannon realized that she must have made him help out here in the guest house in order to talk to him about this, and he clicked his tongue softly. You really think you can marry a human, even though you're furniture? I think I can. It won't work. Why not? That dream future that George-sama's imagined for you two is something you can never give him. Well, we aren't humans. We're furniture, inferior to them. George-sama only thinks that you're human. Well, that is true, but I'm impressed that you managed to keep him cool this long. Do you really think you can keep tricking him like that forever? Even though you still have been able to tell him that you're furniture? Being furniture or human has nothing to do with this. I believe that George-sama will accept everything about me. And yet you don't have the courage to check and make sure. You know what? I think I'll accept this proposal. As Shannon looked up at the ceiling, she spoke of the imagined future that she and George would create. Though some anxiety over the future appeared on her face, so did the joy of knowing what it was like to live with love. As Cannon watched this vivid dream he was being shown, he knew that none of his words would reach Shannon anymore. You can just do what you want. Once you've said you'll do something, you can be incredibly stubborn. Yep, I want to live life my own way. I'd like to stop being afraid over who's furniture and who's a human. I like Shannon. She's optimistic. It's a good quality to have in this world. It's a hard one to maintain. Cannon walked over to the window silently. He saw the rose garden filled with boring gray flowers in bloom. He realized that Shannon was acting above her place, and he knew that her tale had no chance of a happy ending. However, he also knew that no words of his could change her mind now that she had made her decision. In that case, it doesn't matter what I say. If I tell you to stop, you won't listen. If I tell you to do what you want, you'll do what you want. Why are you talking to me about this? It's not like you care what I have to say. What I want to know is how you feel about my lady. I have nothing to do with the two of you. Do you really feel absolutely nothing for my lady? No, I don't, as I keep telling you. Liar. What makes you think that's a lie? I can tell. I'm your son, aren't I? You don't know. You can't know what I'm feeling. I do. I know everything about you, Canon-kun. If you really do know, then why did you ask? Your head and your heart are completely filled by George-san, aren't they? And it's that sincerity of yours that I love. That's why I'm rooting for you in the only way I can. No, you're absolutely not rooting for her at all, Canon. That's a lie. Otherwise, even I wanted to love my lady. Canon finally turned to face her, honestly and openly telling her how he really felt. That was what Shannon had wanted to hear. And after hearing that, she pressed Canon even further to reveal his true feelings. You can't leave it at that. I won't let you. Then what should I do? What do you want me to say? Don't try to dodge by saying I wanted to love her. All you need to do is honestly tell me what you really feel. My lady is too dazzling for me. The way she lives is dazzling like the sun. That's why I love her. I was so happy when my lady stretched out her hand and asked me to walk with her. No, I still am happy. You love her, don't you? Yes, I do. I love my lady. Finally, Ken confessed his feelings in their entirety. In fact, by saying it aloud, he finally understood how he truly felt. As passionate tears welled up in his eyes, Ken finally accepted it. Wow. Accepted the build-up that's been happening for a whole 6 episodes. Why this time? He couldn't stop the tears from dripping down his face. Both of us are exactly the same, locked up in our Kenjiman living without any hope at all. And yet, my lady was able to light her own path and create her own fate. She was so dazzling that I envied her. I felt as though, if I could be with her, I could find my true self instead of being the pitiful person I am now. When you turned down my lady's confession, were you sad? I was. I never realized that all you make to yourself could be so sad, so painful, so excruciating. I couldn't forgive myself for hurting my lady with that lie. I believed that I didn't have what it takes to ever fall in love again. But that wasn't true. Do you know what's needed to fall in love? It's something you can't get from anyone but yourself. Being furniture or not has nothing to do with it. If you decide for yourself that it won't work out, then it won't. You mustn't leap to such rigid conclusions. That's why I, over-ambitious furniture that I am, gave myself what's needed to fall in love. So you have it too, Canon-kun. You mean I have what it takes to fall in love? Yes. If you won't give it to yourself, I'll give it to you. Thank you. I feel as though I can finally see the sea. I'm certain of it. George-san will propose to me tonight. When he does, I will accept. I intend to leave this island and start a new life in a new world. If that's the path you've chosen, then I have no say in the matter. I'll leave this island, and after that, I'll never return again. I'll have to say farewell to you, Canon-kun. You're right. We won't see each other again, will we? If you do love my lady from the bottom of your heart, and if your feelings are at least as strong as my feelings for George-san, then you and I will have to settle whose feelings are really stronger. Nay, son. This way is best for both of us. Don't give up on your feelings for my sake. Even though my selfishness might keep you from your happiness. I realize that same thing about myself. I know that my happiness will bring you pain. We have no choice but to hurt each other. As she said this, Shannon turned back to Cannon. As Cannon watched Shannon from behind, he was struck by her strength and the love she still felt for him despite everything. Nei-san, living with you made me happy. Me too. I wouldn't have lasted this long without you. And that's why I was able to meet George-san. Yeah, I wouldn't have realized how dazzling my lady is if it weren't for you. I won't abandon the way I feel. I'll focus on that feeling alone, ignoring everything else, and I won't look away when I trample over your heart. Me too. I won't use you as an excuse to hide the way I really feel. Whether my love bears fruit, or yours does, we'll both support the victor. Yes, I promise. And if I win, I will love my lady and treasure you. Thank you. But if I win, I'll forget you in this island and leave this place forever. Yes, whichever of us wins, that person will pursue the love with all they've got. Even if they know that love will be unrequited. Yes, after all, by now, we are not furniture. So, there's going to be more Shannon and Cannon focus in this episode. We'll get there. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll go on for a little bit longer. Maybe like one more scene. The boat carrying the relatives docked at the harbor. They left the boat one by one, making fun of Balor. Goto wasn't the only one to greet them. Canon was there too. It has been quite some time, everyone. Allow me to welcome you to Rakenjima. I hope that your long journey went smoothly. Welcome to Rakenjima. Ah, good, good. Goto complimented Canon in a whisper. Canon ignored this, looking just a little sour, and continued to greet the incoming relatives. This is your first time meeting Goto-san and Canon-kun, isn't it, Balor-kun? Ooh, it's my first time meeting Balor too. No, it's not. Goto-san's a great chef. He's the only reason anyone ever want to come to this island. I am most honored. Balor-sama, I do hope that you look forward to your meals during your stay. I can't wait. I'm counting on you. Long time no see, Canon-kun. You seem to be in high spirits today. That's great. You think so? Oh yes, your face is looking brighter today. Maybe it's your complexion, or maybe it's that your gaze looks a bit more gallant. Must be a growing phase. That's how a boy becomes a man. You usually look as though you're about to pass out from anemia. You're a bit different today. You've got some spunk. A boy can change a lot in just 3 days. I guess this means even Canon-kun's getting a bit more manly. We aren't making fun of you, okay? We're all complimenting you. Canon had sworn to start changing the way he lived bit by bit. However, he had only meant to change with himself, and hadn't expected that it would show on the outside. He was a bit shocked to hear that his expression had changed so much, that people had apparently noticed as soon as he opened his mouth. No, maybe the real surprise was that his normal expression must have looked so incredibly sullen in comparison. Oof. Goto led the way up to the guest house. Canon brought up the rear, helping to carry some of Kurosawa's shopping. Does my face really look that bright today? Oh, it looks that way to me as well. Did something good happen? Even Kurosawa was saying it. Canon, unable to see what his own face looked like, hung his head in embarrassment. When they reached the rose garden, they could see the others streaming into the guest house. Then he saw Jessica running towards him from there. Is even my lady Jessica going to say that I'm in a good mood today? Canon hung his head even deeper. And so, almost as though he couldn't control himself, Canon spoke first. Do I really look that different? Huh? Well, you know, you aren't usually the type to come out and say hello of your own accord. That's probably why everyone was surprised. I apologize for not going with you earlier, my lady. Huh? Oh, don't worry about that. I'm the one who's sorry for asking you to come all the way out to Nijima with me to meet everyone. I know how busy you must be today. I didn't have anything in particular to do. You were just so dazzling. So dazzling that I couldn't bear to be with you. I was just weak. Jessica faltered, uncertain was what Canon was talking about. However, she realized that this was something too important to be laughed off. Did something happen, Canon-kun? Shannon says she's going to get married. I see. So George Nissan's going to propose this time after all. Jessica thought Canon was sad because Shannon would be leaving, that this new mental state had caused a change in his behavior. And Canon realized that Jessica was probably thinking this. So he spoke to her clearly and honestly, because he wanted her to know. I decided that I would stop working here if Nissan ever quit. I know. So, are you going to quit too, Canon-kun? I'm not sure anymore. I feel that if I quit, I might lose sight again of something that you revealed to me, shining like the sun. Jessica calmly stared blankly, unable to understand what he was saying. However, she did realize he was trying to tell her something important. I don't know which of them can be more dense. And so, she was able to accept that his next words were neither a lie nor a joke. My lady Jessica, I love you. I love you too. You live your life like the sun, and I want to try walking that path alongside you. I have a feeling that, with you, I'll be able to break free from the me that I despised as furniture. You are furniture, Canon-kun. And you weren't born just so you could become a servant. A boy your age should be enjoying life much, much more. I'm dazzled too. You're so dazzling, I can hardly see. This is how I truly feel. I'm sorry for trying to hide it for so long. I apologize for hurting you on that day, in my cowardice. That's okay. Just hearing you say that makes me happy. So, since I want to always be with you, I plan to stop being furniture. I ask that you give me some time to do that. Please forgive this last bit of weakness. There's nothing weak about you. You've shown me. You've shown me that you have the incredible courage to change yourself from the way you used to be. So I'll support you until the end, and I won't rush you until you're ready. Then I'll rush you. If I'm the sun lighting your path, that's because I wanted to shine more brightly than anyone else, so that you'd look only at me. She's taking this very, like, flatly. For, like, teenage girl screams into pillow character that we've seen her being before. I think Battler just doesn't know how to write a teenage girl. Keep in mind he's the game master here. Or maybe Featherine's the one who wrote this. Who knows? I'm not thinking about that right now. Without you, there's no way I'd become anything like a sun. I'm gonna talk like it's Battler writing it. It's more fun that way. So I'll wait, no matter how long it takes. Thank you, my lady. My lady is a bit stiff, don't you think? May I call you by your name? Sure. Oh, but only when we're alone, okay? Otherwise, it might make things tough for you. Good point. Nathan and George-san are doing the same, it seems. Why are we getting the Minecraft ambience again? Why are we in a cave? If Shen hadn't been about to get engaged, you would have said what you said just now, right? Kennen hung his head, at a loss for words for some time. But it was true. If Shannon hadn't told him about the engagement, he probably wouldn't have had been having this conversation at this moment. Yes, because of that, I was able to think long and hard. Come on. You heard about Shannon and you want to see what love felt like yourself, right? Yes. That's a pretty straight answer. Well, when I watched those two, I was pretty jealous myself. In truth, it wasn't quite like that for either of them. They'd been shown the courage needed to speak up and tell the one you love how you feel. That's what pushed both Kennen and Jessica forward. So, what should I call you? Jessica works fine. Just saying it like that would be a bit embarrassing. Then you can use San, at least at first. Why not try it out? Come on. Jessica-san. Good, that'll do for now. I'd like to call you by your name, Kennen-kun. You have a real name besides Kennen, don't you? I'll bet it has the character. Is that the on? No, it's Kan. It's the Kan from Kanon. On is just sound, right? I bet it has the character Kan in it, like Kanon does. But what could it be? My name is Yoshia. Oh shit. Oh, how is it written? Yeah, on is sound, yeah. That's the on, though. Jessica tried tracing out various characters on the palm of her hand. Then, can use his own figure to write out his name on her hand. Read it as Yoshia, and yes, indeed, it has the same Kan. It's just Yoshi here. So you're Yoshia-kun. Yeah, that's a great name. Totally better than my weird name. That's not true. My Lady Jessica has a wonderful name. Hey, say it again. Huh? But my Lady Jessica has... One more time. My Lady Jessica has a wonderful... is something wrong? No big deal. Thanks, Yoshia-kun. 6 episodes in, we get to learn Kennen's real name. They teased us on it a couple times before, but we never got to hear it till now. The red flowers of the rose garden seemed to celebrate the two lovers whose feelings had finally connected. The scene was watched by not one, that's supposed to say not one, not one not. The scene was watched by not one human, who gazed out quietly from beneath the rose garden arbor. Yeah, I know, we get it really early, don't we? What was it in episode 1? I could believe that. Episode 2 was more about the George-Shannon relationship, but I could believe that it comes up in the first one, yeah, probably does. And to think of it, those two had never called each other by their names until now. Jessica hadn't known Kennen's true name. Kennen hadn't called Jessica by her name. When people call each other by name, they acknowledge the worth of the other's soul. That's why names are sacred. When you've been given permission to say someone's name, it means they've acknowledged your soul. Is that why Father wants me to call him by his name? No, that's probably wrong. When Father sees me, it reminds him of that other me, the past me. I'm sure that me called Father by name. However, that probably doesn't mean Father would be happy to hear me call him by his name. After all, I am me, and not that Beatrice Father knows well. What could I do to help Father? How can I be useful to him? After all, that's the only reason I was born. Hanging her head, Beatrice sat all alone in the Golden Lands arbor next to the rose garden. And she was watched by the Witch of Theater-going and her Miko as they sat across from each other. Poor kid. I never thought I'd see you feel compassion for Beato. It'd be too cruel to call this Beato and the former Beato the same person. They're completely different people. It may be that, by the rules, this Beato is the Beato. However, saying that would be horribly unfair to her. Balor must be very depressed to have things end up this way after reviving his former rival. I sort of get Oni-chan's despair, but I can understand how this feels too. No person can become a replacement for another, not even a past version of that same person. Compared to the young boy and girl who had found new versions of themselves by calling each other by their true names, this witch looked very feeble. The witch knew that she was an illusion created in the image of the person she once was, and she also knew that it would only hurt Balor if she were to try and pretend to be that person. And despite all of that, this Beato wants to be useful to Balor. How admirable. Is that the purpose for the witch known as Beatrice? That is what she claims. She says that she was created to be of service to Balor. So a Beato who was born for Oni-chan's sake eventually commits a serial murder, and drags Oni-chan into a bizarre game that she calls eternal torture? I don't get it. I believe you also understand that one can become a different person over 1,000 years. At the very least, Beatrice was once a pure creature who was born for Balor's sake. It's also very clear that, in her current feeble state, she doesn't possess any of the courage or motivation needed to bring about such fearsome serial murders. That means the sinister witch we all know must have changed during the 1,000 years since her birth. We keep getting this 1,000 years business, but I get a feeling that those words are just a metaphor for a really long time in the world of witches. As you get closer to the world of gods, the concept of time becomes increasingly vague. 6 years can become 1,000, and 1,000 years could be nothing more than a quick nap. One can fit an eternity long enough to be deserving the title 100-year-old witch in a mere 2 weeks. In other words, the pure Beato transformed into the cruel Beato. During 6 years, that could be called 1,000. So does that mean something bad happened during those 6 years that made her hate Oni-chan? That doesn't make sense. During those 6 years, Oni-chan not only stayed away from Aokajima, he even stopped using the Ishimina name. He had nothing to do with that change. Her age would have got to be totally misguided. Featherine smiles, knowingly. Looks directly at the viewer, smiles, knowingly. It's like, wow, Angie said something interesting. Well, viewers, let's all think about what Angie said. Oh, here she is. So, maybe she did not call Hina Beatrice in game, but it's what everyone calls her, at least. Let me see here. Beatrice. Let's list her off normally. No tips. No tips. Let's see, I don't think there's anything else to check in particular. Nope. Okay, alright. That'll be a good place to stop for the day. I'll have to stitch together a couple of odds and edit out a bit of just who of me trying to troubleshoot the stream stuff at the end there.